He had everything: wealth, influence, a future, already secured. He climbed mountains, laughed with friends, filled rooms with energy. If you saw him, you'd think, he's just like everyone else. But he wasn't. Because when the parties ended, when the laughter faded, he disappeared into the streets, into the shadows, into places no one else wanted to go. And there, he gave everything away, so quietly that even his own family never knew, until the day he died and the streets filled, not with the powerful, but with the poor. This is the story of a man who lived hidden holiness, Saint Pier Giorgio Frassati. Italy, early 1900s, a world of power, politics, and rising tension. And into that world, Pier Giorgio Frassati was born, not into struggle, but into privilege. His father, Alfredo Frassati, a senator, a diplomat, founder of a major newspaper, a man of influence, a man shaping the future of Italy. His mother, cultured, refined, an artist surrounded by high society. Their home, elegant, respected, admired. Everything about Pier Giorgio's life pointed in one direction: success, but God had another plan. Even as a child, something stirred inside him. Not ambition, not pride, but compassion. He noticed what others ignored: the hungry, the forgotten, the invisible. One day, a knock at the door. A poor boy stood there. No shoes, no comfort, no dignity. Pier Giorgio didn't hesitate. He removed his own shoes and handed them over. No announcement, no explanation, just love. That moment wasn't an act. It was a revelation. He saw Christ in the poor. But holiness rarely grows in comfort. And in his own home, faith wasn't alive. His father didn't believe. His household was not a place of deep prayer. And yet, Pier Giorgio chose God. Not because it was easy, but because it was real. He began attending daily Mass, receiving communion, building a relationship, not with religion, but with Christ. While the world chased power, he chased presence. And here's what makes his story powerful. He wasn't withdrawn. He wasn't distant. He wasn't different in the way people expect saints to be. He was alive, full of energy, joyful, magnetic. He loved his friends. He joked. He laughed loudly. He climbed mountains, not just for the view, but for the experience. He built community, and people were drawn to him, but none of them knew what he was really doing. Because while his friends slept, Pier Giorgio moved, quietly, intentionally. He entered the poorest parts of the city, places of sickness, of hunger, of despair. He joined the Society of St. Vincent de Paul, not as a title, but as a mission. He fed families. He brought medicine. He sat with the dying. He carried burdens that weren't his, and he never spoke about it. Because to him, charity wasn't performance. It was love. Then came a moment that revealed everything. His father gave him a choice: a car or money, status or sacrifice, comfort or calling. Pier Giorgio chose the money, but not for himself. He walked straight into the streets and gave it away, because in his mind, wealth was never meant to be owned. It was meant to be used, to restore dignity, to serve Christ. But his faith wasn't passive. It wasn't silent. It moved. He saw injustice, and he acted. He defended the poor. He stood for truth. even when it meant conflict, even when it meant risk. Because, to him, faith wasn't something you believed, it was something you lived. And then, there was love. A woman he cared for deeply. A future he could have had. But he knew his family wouldn't accept it. And instead of fighting, he surrendered. He chose sacrifice, not because he didn't love her, but because he loved God more. He lived by one phrase, Verso l'alto, to the heights, but not just mountains. The soul, the spirit, the call to rise, above comfort, above mediocrity, above self. Every climb was a prayer, every summit, a glimpse of eternity. But holiness has a cost. While serving the sick, he became sick. Polio. At 24, his body began to collapse. Pain, weakness, silence. And yet, no complaint, no fear, because someone else in his family had just died, and he didn't want attention. Even in suffering, he thought of others. July 4th, 1925. His final breath, a life that seemed too short, too quiet, too hidden. But heaven saw something else. At his funeral, everything changed. His family expected elites, politicians, influential figures. Instead, the streets were filled with the poor, thousands of them, crying, mourning, honoring a man who had loved them in secret. And in that moment, his family realized they never truly knew him. Years later, the church confirmed it. He wasn't just kind. He wasn't just generous. He was holy, beatified, canonized. But long before Rome declared it, the poor already knew. His life leaves us with a question. What are you chasing? Comfort, recognition, control? Because Pier Giorgio had it all and walked away. Not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. Holiness isn't distant. It's not unreachable. It's not reserved. It's a choice, a daily one, to love, to serve, to give, to rise. Verso l'alto. Follow for more stories of saints who didn't just believe, they lived it. And maybe, so can you.